Ever stood next to a quarry and felt that shiver of like, whoa, what's going on under there?
Oh, absolutely. It's like a hidden world.
A hidden world, right. Well, you've asked us to take that feeling deeper, literally. Today's deep dive is all about mine development engineers. They're like the architects of these underground labyrinths.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating blend of, that engineering, that hardcore engineering, but then the problem solving on the ground. It's amazing.
Not just blueprints and hard hats, then.
No, no.
Our sources, including this super detailed guide from RoleCatcher, suggest it's way more dynamic than I ever imagined.
Absolutely, yeah. I think of it like this. A mine development engineer, they take a project from that initial spark that, hey, there might be something valuable here, all the way to, a fully operational mine.
Okay, so walk me through this. The RoleCatcher guide uses terms like cross-cutting and sinking.
Right.
They sound a little more like spelunking terms, than engineering terms.
Right.
So what's actually happening in those early phases?
Imagine, like, you're trying to access this vein of ore that's deep underground, right? You can't just start digging haphazardly.
Right.
Sinking is how they create that
Yeah.
initial vertical shaft. It's a bit like building a skyscraper, but downwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
So creating that main artery, but then you need to branch out.
exactly. That's where cross-cutting comes in. They carve out these horizontal tunnels at like strategic points along the main shaft to reach different areas of the deposit.
Okay.
So it's like building, this giant underground tree. The main shaft is like the trunk, the crosscuts are the branches, and connecting all of those are tunnels.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So it's like three-dimensional connect the dots, but with massive stakes.
Yes.
And speaking of stakes, the guide gets pretty real about the work environment. It's not all high-tech simulations, is it?
It's a balance. You'll find them in the office, hunched over complex software, mapping out, every inch of the mine.
Yeah.
But a huge chunk of their time is spent on site, where conditions can be, shall we say, invigorating.
Invigorating, yeah. So, not a gig for the claustrophobic type. What are some of the challenges someone might face working in that kind of environment?
Picture this. You're deep underground. It's hot, humid, potentially dusty, and you're surrounded by, like, heavy machinery. It takes a special kind of focus,
Right.
to stay safe and productive in that environment. And then there's the mental resilience you need because you're constantly problem solving, making split-second decisions that could impact, the safety of your team, the success of the whole operation.
And you can't just call up Google Maps if you take a wrong turn down there.
Exactly. Which is why, that spatial awareness, that ability to visualize these complex structures in 3 dimensions, crucial for a mine development engineer.
Yeah.
They have to be able to look at like a 2-dimensional blueprint and see the entire mine in their head.
Wow. So, beyond a hard hat, what kind of toolkit does a mine development engineer need to thrive in this career?
Well, let's talk education first. The Skills and Education section of the RoleCatcher Guide makes it clear that a bachelor's degree in mining engineering, or at least a closely related field, is practically non-negotiable.
Okay.
But it goes beyond that. Because mining technology is advancing so rapidly, a mine development engineer has to be a lifelong learner constantly.
Yeah.
We're talking advanced certifications, keeping up with the latest software, going to industry conferences.
So always sharpening the tools in that mental toolbox?
Yes.
But what about specific skills? If someone's thinking, hey, maybe I'm cut out for this, what should they be paying attention to in themselves?
It's a real blend of the technical and the interpersonal.
Yeah.
Of course, you need that grasp of engineering principles, geology, mine design software, that classic engineering skill set.
Right, because a misplaced decimal point could have significant consequences.
Exactly. But here's what's interesting. Communication skills are just as crucial. You're not just crunching numbers in a silo. You're collaborating with geologists, surveyors, you've got equipment operators, safety inspectors.
Right. It's a team effort, and you need to be able to communicate these complex ideas clearly and effectively to a diverse group of people.
So you've got to be fluent in hard hat and lab coat,
Precise.
sometimes in the same sentence.
Exactly. And as you gain experience, those leadership and project management skills become even more crucial. Think about it. You're not just designing a tunnel, you're managing budgets, ensuring safety, overseeing entire projects with, millions, if not billions of dollars riding on your decisions.
Wow, talk about pressure.
Yes.
So it's not enough to be a technical whiz. You need to inspire confidence and manage expectations.
Yeah.
Speaking of managing, the guide spends a good chunk of time on career trajectory.
Right.
Give us a preview. Where does this path typically lead? It's like climbing a career ladder built into the side of a mine shaft. So where does a fresh out of university mining engineer typically start their ascent?
Well, most start as what's called an entry-level engineer. It's all about, getting your boots dirty, literally.
You're assisting those senior engineers, conducting field surveys, making sure that those designs actually translate to the real world, all while, soaking up knowledge like a sponge.
So a lot of watch and learn, but also jump in and do.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a crucial period.
Yeah.
Transforming that textbook knowledge into practical on-site expertise. They'll be involved in everything from designing ventilation systems to like optimizing blasting patterns.
So much more than just drawing lines on a map.
Oh, absolutely.
And as they gain experience, what's the next rung on that career ladder?
Typically, they'd move into a junior mine development engineer role.
Okay.
Now they're given more responsibility. So, managing smaller projects, conducting those feasibility studies for new mining areas. This is where their leadership skills start to, truly develop.
Because they're not just following instructions anymore. They're starting to make the calls.
Precisely. They might be tasked with evaluating a new type of drilling equipment or, figuring out how to extract ore from a particularly challenging geological formation.
Wow.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The RoleCatcher guide mentioned this kind of intriguing trend.
Hit me with it.
It seems that a lot of mine development engineers, they're leveraging their expertise to branch out into these related fields.
Okay.
Especially roles that are really focused on sustainability and environmental impact.
That makes sense. They understand the potential downsides of mining better than anyone.
Yeah.
So who better to kind of spearhead those efforts?
Exactly.
Right.
For example, they might move into mine closure and reclamation.
Okay.
That's where they design and implement plans to minimize the environmental impact once the actual mining operation is done.
So instead of digging down, they're figuring out how to put things back together.
Exactly.
But in a way that heals the land.
Precisely.
Mm.
They can be tasked with restoring topsoil, managing water quality, even reintroducing native plant species.
Wow.
It's a far cry from blasting rock.
Mm-hmm.
But it requires that same, problem-solving mindset and that technical expertise,
Yeah.
just, applied through a different lens.
That's fascinating. It really speaks to the adaptability that this career path seems to demand. Okay, so we've got a good grasp on the responsibilities, the required skills, the career progression. But is this a field with a future? The industry trends section felt particularly relevant here.
Right, because technology is transforming the mining industry. I mean, at an incredible pace.
Right.
We're talking automation, robotics, data analytics.
Right.
It's not your grandfather's mine anymore.
More silicon than pickaxes these days.
Exactly.
So what does this tech revolution mean for aspiring mine development engineers? Is it a threat or an opportunity?
It's both, really. I
Right.
mean, they need to be tech-savvy, comfortable with data analysis, able to adapt to new software and systems. I mean, faster than a drill bit can bore through granite.
Because the mine of the future is going to need engineers who can work alongside robots and algorithms.
Exactly. But here's the thing. While AI can optimize those processes, and it can definitely improve safety, it can't replace that human element entirely.
Yeah.
A machine can't replicate that, on-the-ground intuition, that ability to assess risk, make those critical decisions in these unpredictable situations.
So it's a partnership, not a replacement.
Exactly.
And that brings us to the million-dollar question, or perhaps billion-dollar question in this case. What's the job outlook for mine development engineers? Is this a stable career path, or are those robots going to take all the good jobs? Because let's face it, job security, that's a pretty valuable mineral in this economy.
It absolutely is. And the good news is, despite all this automation we're talking about, the demand for skilled mine development engineers, it's projected to stay strong. Think about it.
Yeah.
The world's appetite for minerals isn't going away anytime soon.
Yeah, we need those raw materials for everything. Our smartphones, our renewable energy infrastructure.
Exactly.
So more demand plus a need for specialized skills, that bodes well for anyone entering this field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The RoleCatcher guide, they actually cited a projected growth rate of 3% for mining engineers. Let's see, from 2019 to 2029. This is according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yeah.
Now, that might not sound like a gold rush, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of job security,
Yeah.
That's a pretty healthy vein to be mining.
Like, definitely, definitely. And for those who are motivated by more than just, a steady paycheck, the pros and cons section highlighted something that really resonated with me, the opportunity to make a real difference.
Right, right.
Mining, historically, it hasn't always had the best environmental track record,
Yeah,
but the industry is evolving.
yeah,
And mine development engineers, they're on the front lines of that change.
absolutely.
So it's not just about extracting resources anymore. It's about doing it in a way that minimizes harm.
Precisely. We're talking about designing these mines with sustainability in mind. From like day one, reducing water usage, minimizing waste, using renewable energy sources to power the entire operation. I mean, these are all becoming standard practice.
It's almost like they're trying to undo decades of, environmental damage,
Yeah.
one carefully planned blast at a time.
In a way, yes. And it goes beyond that, too. Remember those engineers we've talked about transitioning into mine closure and reclamation? They're literally putting the pieces back together, restoring those damaged ecosystems. They're even creating new habitats. It's a chance to, not just minimize harm, but to actually leave the planet better than they found it.
That's a powerful legacy to build into a career. So for our listener who's been digging deep with us today, it seems like we've unearthed a career path that's both challenging and rewarding, demanding, but full of potential.
Absolutely.
And if they're ready to take that next step, whether it's researching universities or, prepping for those daunting job interviews.
Yeah, the RoleCatcher guide seems like an invaluable resource for that.
Yeah, they even have AI-powered interview practice.
Yeah, they do.
Talk about facing your fears head on. It's like having a personal mining coach in your pocket. Well, that's our deep dive into the fascinating world of mine development engineering. We've learned that it's a career that's as much about brains as it is about brawn, where innovation and sustainability are the new veins of opportunity.
It's a field that's literally shaping the future from the ground up.
And who knows, maybe
Oh.
someday soon we'll be doing a deep dive on a listener who landed their dream job as a mine development engineer, thanks to the insights that they gained right here. Until next time, keep those curiosity drills spinning, and remember, knowledge is the most valuable resource of all.